Sri, from the time they had a band called Badmash and Sri, I have known him. What I like about his music is it's got a lot of soul.
Life is one big road with a lot of signs.
Anything I receive from Suresh, I really enjoy.
I feel because Sri is from India, who is staying in the UK now. Sri Aurobindo, who stayed in the UK, who came to India for a purpose. There is some sort of a connection I felt, and both these people complementing each other.
He always sort of gets me because he thinks I would be suitable for a project, so it's a good place to be. And the topic was great, the subject was great.
We have constructed the whole trailer in such a way that he's one kind of superhero.
It was more music heavy. It was like I wrote heavier music.
That time he rendered a completely different feel. And with the film, for the main film being a completely different perspective than in the trailer. And the film itself in its heart became more painting-like, and it didn't have any sort of cuts or transitions like the trailer. So it was a very smooth, free-flowing visuals in the main film. So we had to come up with a musical language that fits and complements that sort of visual language.
There was going to be a lot of talking all the way through, and so there's no point in battling the dialogue, the sort of the narration.
Sharp, daring, and snapping. But freedom of movement has not yet been attained.
So it was always about the music being a good bed or something that could come up at points and enhance what was going on.
It was a profound spiritual experience which stayed with him for long months afterwards.
Coloring, everything came out in such a way that it became a lot less darker than it was the first time round. And so even I lightened up a bit, and then I decided to just follow the story.
The languid nature of the visuals. For that, we should go again with a legato sort of a rendition where things are more string-based rather than percussion-based. Doing music for animation films is very tricky. Sri, having worked with us on multiple projects of different complexities, understands what a rough animation means. So when there is a black and white animation which is just pencil drawn, he could understand what is going to be, what it is going to be eventually once it is colored and filled and cleaned up, etc.
So I would constantly refer to the look frames just to be sure that I'm on the right path. This whole sequence, for example, would have that vibe, and even though I was looking at line drawings, I could imagine, what it was. It had an India feel somehow, the colors. Whether it was the colors of the mud or the sand or the air or the whatever, I don't know what it was, or the skin of of us Indians. Or
I kind of suggested that why don't we use Vande Mataram as a base line for the entire theme of the film.
The development of the theme and for it to exist in different ways, where it was not always the same Vande Mataram, but it was quite obvious it was, kind of thing.
In classical Indian music, we improvise based on a raga. So like that, if you can kind of linger in and around that raga, not really touch on the phrase of Vande Mataram. Till we reach those high points that we need. So that is something that we kind of very successfully managed.
And once I had a sort of a structure and a ground with the synthesizers, I started bringing in my bass, a lot of board bass, which is my speciality. even if it was not like the subtle movements of an actor's face or an actress's face or things like that, but it was coming from somewhere else. It was coming from colors. It was coming up with, flowers suddenly popping up somewhere, or birds flying all of a sudden. And it's like I just react, and it was constantly moving. But it was a challenge. Definitely was a challenge. And it's what we call wall-to-wall music, right? I mean, it's like there was maybe exactly 1 second of silence in the whole thing. For some reason, I brought in a lot of my own voice, which is not something I do normally. Those kind of things, just using that to show militancy, to show men coming together, people coming together, all that kind of stuff.
It's a very complex exercise to keep a film with so many aspects tied together with music. And music really played that role of integrating the whole film.
I was very happy after when I finished it. I sat back and checked it out, and I was just like, okay, that works. That's nice.
At that point in time, I was also exhausted. I just gave it to Rasool and said, Rasool, you take it on from here and do your magic.
See, Aurobindo had a very specific challenge.
There was nothing that is realistic over there. Every element was surreal. Every element was a visualization of something.
It was like pages. It was pages of a book, And you're not flipping through the pages. You're like, you're just traveling through the pages. To create that seamlessness is what was the most challenging aspect of the sound design.
So one couldn't really work on the most realistic sort of effect of what is seen on the visuals.
It went through many things. It went through facial aspects. It went through mystical elements.
You have to kind of create that surreal space in terms of sound.
The sound often sweeps through it at one level, and the other level, sounds also try and find meanings.
Knowing that Sri Aurobindo had studied in the UK, Suresh felt the need for Sri Aurobindo's voice to have clear diction and a sort of sophistication. And he always had Victor Banerjee in mind. It was a joy to know that he was available and willing to take up the part.
August 15th is my own birthday, and it is naturally gratifying to me. August 15th is my own birthday, and it is naturally gratifying to me.
As for the other voice in the film, being that of the narrator, it needed a little bit of difference from that of Victor's because it needed to be softer, gentler, and yet very clear.
He immersed himself in European literature and history.
And Preeti from SAS, Sri Aurobindo Society, recommended Deepti Naval, and everybody unanimously agreed.
He immersed himself in European literature and history.
Both Victor and Deepti delivered the voices with such finesse that was required for this artistic film.
Bonds recently imposed from outside and is struggling to be
It's not a cartoon animation. It is a very different sort of medium that we are working with. It looked like paintings in motion. It had to kind of make you feel a mental space.
He didn't say supermind. Supermind is my own.
I specifically remember when he was in the prison.
When I was arrested and hurried to Alipur jail.
That is one area where he's vulnerable.
It felt like as if he is actually trapped in his own self. We worked upon things like that, with music and sound and creating islands of sounds, and without interfering with the unfurling of pages from history of his life.
The spaces come alive with the sound effects, and the feel comes from the music, and the meaning you have to discern from the voiceover. So there's a lot of brain activity for an audience to from the soundscape, and that entire space was controlled by the soul.
Our call is to young India